Ladies and gentlemen, pay attention. This is your boy, the coach from the WWE. I would like to welcome you to the very first wrestling podcast in the world to take you on a weekly deep dive into classic matches along with legends of the squared circle. Enjoy the discussion. Enjoy the back and forth. There's so much to get into. Ladies and gentlemen, this is The Payoff.
Welcome to an all-new episode of The Payoff. I'm Tom. That's Jeff. Angle, Michaels, sign me up for this, man. Two of my all-time favorites. How did you pick this match?
I kind of the timing on this one. I know we're getting into, the summer months. And so I wanted a match that kind of fell into that kind of window. But this was one that, just why not? When you're like, we have this huge spreadsheet of kind of matches that we're looking at. And I was kind of looking through it and I was like, Kurt Angle and Shawn Michaels in a 26-minute match. Like, what the hell? Like, no stipulation either. Like, what are we getting into here? And so threw it on the list and here we are. So hopefully I see no reason why it shouldn't be really good.
Yeah, I'm pumped to cover this one. I say we jump right into the build.
Oh, it's time for the build.
So, Vengeance, one of our quote-unquote B pay-per-views, if you will. But this was a good card. So, interestingly enough, this took place right after the first ECW One Night Stand, and actually just a few weeks after. So this would have been 2 weeks after ECW One Night Stand. So we're June 26th, 2005. We're in Vegas on the campus of UNLV at the Thomas and Mack Center, and a fun show. So we start off with a dark match of Hurricane and Rosie, who I actually didn't know until the A&E documentary was Roman Reigns' older brother. Like, I may have heard that at some point, but sometimes I get confused on who's related to who in these in the whole bloodline family tree. So I did not realize that was his older brother. And they retained their tag team championships, defeating the Heartthrobs of Antonio and Romeo. So show starts out, Carlito retaining his Intercontinental Championship against Shelton Benjamin in 12 minutes. Victoria defeats Christy Hemme in a 5-minute singles match. Kane defeats Edge in an 11-minute match. Then the match we're going to cover, Shawn Michaels and Kurt Angle. Our semi-main event is John Cena retaining his WWE Championship in 15 minutes, defeating Chris Jericho and Christian. And then your main event, Batista defeating Triple H in a Hell in a Cell match for the World Heavyweight Championship. So your final three matches, Shawn and Angle, Cena, Jericho, Christian, and then Batista, Triple H in a Hell in a Cell. Not a bad show, man. Not a bad show at all. Probably a hell of a last hour and a half or so. Actually, more than that. Crazy enough, we're at the 56-minute mark when we start this show. So those final three matches took up the better part of 2 hours. So a lot of fun. This is in the midst of a fantastic feud and series of matches. How did we get to this one between these guys?
Yeah, so kind of interesting. The like you said, just both these guys, really good. It makes no sense why they're not in the ring together even more often. And so it's
a dream match.
Oh boy. Okay, Tony.
It's a dream match only. It actually had a logical build and it had all kinds of great storylines and promos and stuff leading up to it, and it made sense.
Luckily, too, it's taking place at the time of pay-per-view and not a collision that's taking place after the basketball tournament at 11:30 at night. And so Eastern, whatever. Anyways, so again, this taking place we're the end of June 2005, but we're going to go back actually to the start of the year. You had both of these guys actually in the Royal Rumble 2005 Royal Rumble. You had Michaels eliminating Angle, and then in retaliation, Angle returned and eliminated Michaels, and then attacked him, and they brawled on the outside of the ring. They had a long feud here, like you said. There was the kind of crossover match because the brands they were on at WrestleMania 21. Angle part of SmackDown, Michaels part of Raw. Angle got the win over Michaels. He actually forced him to submit by the ankle lock. That's just weird to say. Can I just say Shawn Michaels, submitting to Kurt Angle with an ankle lock? It just feels weird to even say that. And so that was, the WrestleMania match. They had a couple other matches, in between. The feud kept going on. And it was actually early June. Angle was actually revealed to be drafted to Raw. And so that was, now that they're on the same show, and they were able to kind of have that feud a little bit stronger, challenging Angles to a rematch of that WrestleMania match at Vengeance, or at this upcoming Vengeance, which of course Angle accepted. And so we get, like I said, we got some more that's happening after this and kind of dealing with that. But for now, a long build. Like if we started in January, we started in Rumble. It took us all the way to WrestleMania, where we're approaching SummerSlam at this point, and we're still getting a feud with these guys. And so I'm hoping, I'm hoping at this point when we watch this one, they're cooking. And so that's what I'm looking forward to.
Good. Well, I'm incredibly excited to cover this one. I highly doubt I have ever seen it before. Certainly don't remember it. So this will be a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm ready when you are.
All right, so we are at the 56-minute mark of Vengeance 2005, Season 5. Vengeance 2005, 56-minute mark. Jeff, are you ready?
Crowd's going wild. I'm ready to as well. Let's do it.
It's time for the payoff.
Oh, it's time for the payoff.
All right, here we go. Both guys in the ring. You mentioned Angle's looking young, huh?
Angle's looking young. Michaels looks great too. Like, get in the ring. Everybody's still losing their mind over him. Still has his hair, long hair.
Yeah, I mean, the problem, I'm a huge, wow, this place is going nuts. They are super into this.
Chanting HBK's name. I could tell, even when we don't have the sound on, I can see that they're saying HBK's name. That's how crazy it is. Yep.
The problem with HBK now, I mean, just in terms of, with him losing his hair, it's like it'd be tough to ever get back in the ring. I mean, I know you don't love Goldberg, but he still looks like Goldberg. Austin still looks like Austin. The Rock looks incredible. Shawn just with that hair loss, it's tough. I mean, even when he came back and did that Saudi show, just didn't quite look like Shawn Michaels. And it's tough to not see that,
Yeah, absolutely.
So these guys, I could probably see them starting out slow and kind of building to something here. Have you been watching NXT at all?
I catch the highlights. I have not been officially really watching any of it. No.
I haven't either. I mean,
I watched the Stand and Deliver show. I watched the pay-per-view, I guess. Yeah. But that was it. It was good. Like in the lead up to WrestleMania, like that was good. There's good stuff happening. Like Baron Corbin's doing really good work. I think Braun Breaker, did the call up and stuff like that. So yeah, I think there's a lot of good stuff happening there. It is very much still, the developmental, but that's okay. It's still really good.
Okay, I have not been watching it, so that's why I was curious. I've heard really good stuff.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely. I mean, most weeks it's better than the other guys. So yeah.
Did you watch the OVW documentary on Netflix?
I don't believe so. No.
Okay, I haven't either. I think it's called Wrestlers. I put on like the first 10 minutes of it, and I was like, yeah, this could be interesting. I just haven't watched it yet. I probably will at some point. I like docu-series stuff. That's, I think, kind of like my favorite genre, I think. So I should watch it. I was curious if you had seen it and what you thought of it.
No, and like I said, anymore, especially around WrestleMania season, I was watching a ton of wrestling. Like I think my wife was sick of me, but you know what? Like that's just how it goes. Like there's nothing like WrestleMania season. Like she gets, if she can get excited about whatever sports or event she wants to watch. But yeah, WrestleMania season, that is always on the shared calendar. I make sure she knows that those 2 days I'm going to be free. But yeah, there was just a lot of good shows. I still haven't watched that behind the scenes WrestleMania. The kind of they did that documentary on YouTube, and so I need to watch that. So yeah, there's just we're eating well, is the best way to say it. There's more than enough to find and watch and all of that. Yep.
And it's only going to continue. I mean, from what Nick Khan has said, they're going to do more of these A&E type content deals.
Yep.
I would imagine that Peacock is getting good numbers on the Bray Wyatt documentary, for instance. So A&E, I mean, they keep renewing the hidden treasures and the biographies.
Yep.
And I don't think, I mean, you start thinking about the amount of characters, the amount of content that they have. I mean, those rivalry shows, they're really good. You could continue to do those. One of the things I really liked that they stopped doing was they did one season of those, maybe 2 seasons of WrestleMania Rewind, and the gist of that was, we're going to talk Michael's angle. We're going to highlight how we got to that match, and then we're going to air the match. I love those. And I mean, shit, you could do 100 more of those. So you start thinking about all of the content, the Steve Austin podcast thing, and maybe not him, but is there another guy? Would an Undertaker do a video podcast talking through his career? I mean, that would be incredible. There's probably a handful of topics out there that you could do the last ride, or the Michael Jordan last dance type treatment for.
So good.
It's not going to, they're working on some Vince projects right now. We'll see what happens with those, but a 10-part Hulk Hogan documentary.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it could be as good as The Last Dance. I think it could be phenomenal. And just talking about some of the bad stuff and talking about the good stuff. I mean, that would be phenomenal. I think. So there's just so much out there that you can do. I mean, it's almost overwhelming, but between Netflix, Peacock, A&E, there may be some other people out there that are that they're talking to. I mean, I could see them doing a ESPN type deal, especially with UFC being with ESPN. I could see them doing like a 30 for 30 type thing only for wrestling. I mean, there's just so much you can do. I mean, I love all this stuff. I'll watch it all. I'll enjoy the hell out of all of it. And there's obviously a lot of people out there, that will as well.
Yeah, I think that we're only going to get more of these, like especially as wrestlers get older and they kind of, truly retire. I think there's a lot of those stories to tell. I trust WWE to tell that story. Like you watch any WWE documentary and like, how can you not get hooked? That it's just that good. Some of that stuff, like they know how to tell that story. And so who's ever in charge of that stuff right now, they obviously haven't gotten rid of them with the purge of Vince and all this other stuff. I think too, we hear a lot about the back suplex onto the table there.
And by the way, this match is just a absolute clinic. I mean, this is just
right now. Yep. A lot of submission holds. Yeah, Michael's fighting out of those. Yeah, really good. But I think that the Vince documentaries, I'm wondering like if those are not on hold, but like it's going to take a little bit longer because obviously there's been some new developments in that. And how do you not cover that? Like plain and simple. You kind of have to.
Yep.
You don't have to, but you really should, and especially you don't need the sterilized
It's
version of that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I will say in general, I think it's always tough in documentaries when you don't address certain things.
Yeah.
And I think an example would be they did this. I don't know if you watched like the 4-part series on the Florida Gators, but they mentioned Aaron Hernandez for like 30 seconds. Sorry, but it's part of the story,
Yep.
and I just don't like puff pieces. I
Mhm.
just like when you say, like when you do eventually tell the Vince story. But at the same time, I also don't want it to be a litigation of like I think you address it, but you also don't need to dwell on it. You also don't need to make it. I don't think that those allegations should be a quarter of the story. I also don't think they should be ignored, right? So I think in these documentaries, you have to find that happy medium. You don't want them to be so negative that they're just not enjoyable, but you also don't want to just ignore them, because I think you watch it and you're like, well, you weren't leveling with me. You didn't tell me the whole story. That's why I err on the side of give me something longer, right?
Yep.
Like give me the
Give me a
10-part
four-parter.
series.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, or a 4-parter. I'll tell you another one. The A&E. So it's weird with A&E. I don't know how they decide on this, but most of those A&E biographies are 2 hours long, minus commercials. They're an hour and a half.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
DDP and Bulldog this year were only an hour, which means they were only 45 minutes. The DDP thing, it needed to be twice as long. The Bulldog one needed to be twice as long. They just skipped over stuff or didn't address stuff, and
Yeah.
I don't like that. Make it a little too long. Don't make it too short to where you're not including stuff.
And I know there's been some of those like dark side of the rings too, where I know I've texted you. It's like that should have been 2 hours. Like that could have been given 2 hours. And I know that they say that a lot of times too on like the podcasts and stuff like that. They're like, yeah, we should have given, this could have had more time, or we could have done 5 episodes on something. And I'm thinking to myself like, I want that. Like I get that that's resources and time, and it's difficult, but also like I don't give a shit. Like give me the the unedited raw interviews. Like let me see you interviewing Marty Jannetty for 7 hours. Like you can't tell me. Like you can't tell me that there isn't more story there. Like that, there's just no way. And so that's what I want to see. I want to see them just going wild with that type of stuff. And so, yeah, just crazy.
Really, really good match.
Yeah, still really good. You got Angle getting the upper hand here, kind of doing just a big buckle bomb actually to Michaels, and so looked rough too, but really good. Yeah.
Let me ask you this. So wrestling in general, but primarily WWE. Do you have a theory on why it's so popular right now? Like why they're just killing it? I'll say I think some of it's timing. I feel like there's just times where it's hotter than other times, and maybe the storylines are better. I part of my theory on this is I think having the pay-per-views available for free makes a massive difference. And I haven't seen that anywhere. I have no data to back that up. I've never heard, Nick Khan or Triple H or anyone say that. But I just feel like, think of AEW. So say I get invested in a storyline. I'm watching Dynamite and something's really interesting and I really like it. And I go and I watch it. Well, then what? Then I either pay $60 or I can't see it. It's like I'm going to watch my favorite NFL team practice all week, but then I have to pay $20 to watch the game on Sunday. It's like behind a paywall. I just feel like WWE's made it so much easier and more accessible to be a fan. So now it's like I'll watch Raw because I want to see what's going to happen on the pay-per-view, which I'll then watch because it's going to be free. And it just continues this cycle where like now I'm hooked. And I feel like if you have more people that are hooked, you're in better shape. So I think a lot of it has to do with free PLEs. I really think that is a huge part. Now, of course, the storylines are better and The Rock's back and this and that. But I really think a lot of it is that. And I feel like if I was, and I said this all along. I mean, if I'm AEW, like I would have almost given away those pay-per-views for free via a streamer, gotten whatever deal I could get. So that, like, I mean, I would be way more likely to watch AEW if I could watch their pay-per-views for free. In fact, I would watch the pay-per-views. I would watch every pay-per-view if it were free.
Yep.
So comment on that, and then, why do you think wrestling's so hot right now?
Yeah. So the first part, the cost is a factor. I'm not spending at this point. You figure, even if they did 10 I'm not spending $500 on WWE or AEW pay-per-views. Just not happening.
Either of them. But you're not going to do it for WWE either. You're not going to spend the better part of, $1,000 a year between the 12 to 15 pay-per-views.
And this might be the unpopular thing, but I think we will see Endeavor start charging for premium live events like at some point. But also,
I hope you're wrong. I hope you're wrong.
I do too. But I also think, and this is me, this is what I'm saying right now. I would pay $10 a month though, like an extra $10 a month to still get the premium live, to get all the premium live events. Like if I'm paying less,
so if Netflix had them and said, "Hey, you're going to buy a new tier of $10 extra," you would do that.
Yeah, or like
and I would too.
$100 a year and you get all the, like MLB TV. You pay $100 a year and you get all the premium live events. I would do that.
That's not a bad idea. Mm-hmm. The NFL Sunday Ticket, MLB, NBA TV model.
Yep.
That I would be very interested in.
Because I have
if I had to.
And they run deals on that stuff because I think I got like NBA TV for free on some random like giveaway. And so it's like, okay, fine. Yeah. I know usually at the end of the season, MLB usually gives away like the last month or something like that. Like you get a promo code, you get a month for free. And so you can do that.
And if like I'm out of market for my baseball team, I like doing it. I didn't do it this year. I did it last year. I may still do it. I like sometimes you see a special halfway into the season. I like it as background noise. So it's like, I got a Pirate game on and that's kind of fun. And so it's worth it for $125 or whatever.
So I think to your point, why it's so popular, I got a few reasons. I think that just overall, that type of entertainment on TV is hitting right now. I think that I look at it as like, look at some of these numbers that some of the sports are pulling. You had like Super Bowl, you had like March Madness, just crazy numbers. Caitlin Clark as well too, like, pulling bigger numbers than anything ever. So I think you're getting like that type of like old TV. Like I don't know anyone that sits down and watches TV on a certain day to watch their show. It's just not a thing. And so I think part of it is the access. Like I can watch it on Hulu. I can watch it like Peacock. Okay, like these premium, like they make it a spectacle. Like it is Sunday nights or Saturday, thankfully now. Like I can watch these shows. And so I think it's just the popularity overall of that type of like, I want to be entertained. I don't want to, some procedural show, like, and a lot of it is, like I know like Game of Thrones, or like, okay, I got to wait 2 years for the next Game of Thrones season. Like, same with like Last of Us on HBO. Like any HBO show, like it sucks because if I watch it, I'm not getting it for another 2 years. And so, best case scenario, which just hurts. And so I think that like that's a big part of it is just of that. But then also I think that the like the personalities are hitting. Like, I think you're telling real stories of who's out there. But to their credit, whether it's Nick Khan, Triple H, whoever, the cross promotion is insane. I know we talked about it before, but like you're watching football and then you're watching Sunday football and then you've got Joe Buck being like this Sunday or this Friday at WWE SmackDown, like don't miss Cody Rhodes and like, and so,
Yeah.
and then I think that's a big part of it of like, you get those football fans, and I'm sure there's obviously crossover to begin with, but like, you get like a quick sizzle reel with like Charlotte Flair or something, and Bianca, and you see these like other people like out there doing it, and like even like Jade, you see like a quick shot of Jade and you're like, damn, who's that? Like that's crazy. And so I think they just got a lot going for them. I think the behind the scenes too, they have put the right people in the right places. They're not WWE wrestling people. They are TV people. They are, they're movie people. They are people that are in the industry to grow them, not necessarily grow them as a wrestling brand, but to grow them as an entertainment brand. And I think that's a big part of it.
This match is fantastic, by the way.
Yeah. Try to tune up the band and angle close the distance. Yep.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I mean, it sounds like Fox just didn't want to be in business with them anymore, because it's tough to generate that kind of revenue on ad sales. I get it. I think you're right. The Fox thing, I mean, people saw that because of the NFL. I mean, I had friends that are like, "Oh, I saw Charlotte Flair on an NFL game and stuff." I feel like, it arguably would have been worth taking a little bit of a hit on your TV rights deal to still be on Fox. Like, what's that exposure worth? I don't know. Maybe it's worth nothing. And maybe they just didn't even want to be in business. And, neither did CBS, ABC, NBC. Right. But it's like, man, if you could have gotten, SmackDown onto NBC as opposed to USA. So it'll be interesting. I also think it's going to be really interesting when the Peacock deal is up. It just feels like Netflix is going to have to want to be in that business, but we'll see what happens. But I'm sure they also don't want to put all their eggs in one basket, because then it's going to be, 80, what'll feel like probably 70-80% of their revenue is all going to be tied into, Netflix basically. So I don't know. It'll be interesting, but I just go.
So the streaming deal with Peacock is up in 2026. Yeah. Oh boy, that was stiff. Yeah. 2026. And then even this is an article from January of 24. Reading it real quick. The headline: WWE Netflix deal puts pressure on Peacock. Live sports and events are key to Peacock's survival, and in Netflix, they have their most formidable competition to staying in the ring. Netflix deal doesn't make them the exclusive home for Monday Night Raw. It turned the streaming giant into the only home for WWE content anywhere in the U.S. And so, Universal, just all kinds of stuff here.
Yeah, I mean, that I have to think that I'll be really curious, what the dollar amount is on that, call it the Peacock package. Because you're talking, 12 to, I mean, remember, WrestleMania is 2 nights. You're talking like 12 to 15, 3 to 4 hour live shows. So you're at 50 hours of live content, right? Then you're at any other specials and documentaries and things. I mean, that package has to be of tremendous value to someone. I mean, Peacock without WWE is pretty weak. I mean, I'm trying to think of why I would even keep. I mean, the EPL soccer, some people are into that. I mean, they have The Office. Like
The Office, Parks and Rec.
I could see a lot of people leaving Peacock if they lose WWE.
Well, and this says, Peacock.
Are you going to risk losing 100,000 subscribers overnight because you lose the WWE deal? I don't know what executive wants to sign up for that.
Well, this is too, like, Peacock's position within the streaming hierarchy is tenuous at best because it isn't one of the big names necessarily. But here's an interesting point too that I think to add to this. Angle is working the shit out of Michaels too. Like, he is all over with him. NBC Universal has had a long and fruitful partnership with the WWE, but that was mostly when WWE was an independent business. And now it's now part of TKO Group after being bought by Endeavor last year. This adds an interesting dynamic for the renegotiations. That is a good point. Like, they were it was Vince and Triple H making those deals. Now, you've got
Endeavor opened up. Yeah. Ari and Mark Shapiro are the ones that opened up that Netflix deal. That otherwise wouldn't have happened. They called Nick Khan and said, "Hey, get over to Netflix and pitch him Raw." So, who knows what would have happened? And, that was not something that was on Netflix's radar, and then it quickly was. So, you have to wonder, and then ESPN, they got a great relationship with UFC. So I got to think there could be, something ESPN Plus related as well, and maybe that's where the network stuff ends up. So it'll be very interesting to see.
As I say, then you go down a weird road too because Disney owns ESPN and Hulu. So then you've got WWE on the ESPN Plus. And so then it's also on Hulu. So then you're also getting so is ESPN going to make who makes the offer on that, that chain or ladder there? Like, is Disney going to buy WWE? Are they going to put that in their platform? Are you going to see, are you going to see wrestlers walking around the parks? No, but hey, like that, they could own it. Why wouldn't you?
Yep.
What a time we live in, man.
So, yeah, both guys pretty spent right now. Angle looks to have the upper hand. Hey, one other thing related to super kick out of nowhere.
Big super kick, yep.
One thing, both guys are just out. One thought I had during WrestleMania, do you think they could do 2 nights for SummerSlam?
I think
from a creative standpoint. Yep. Yeah, from a creative standpoint, no question, right? I mean, is there enough on the roster to be able to have two main events, 2 nights? Yes, there is. So then the question is, can you fill a stadium 2 nights in a row?
I think the question of filling a stadium is like a no-brainer. I think they absolutely could.
Two nights in a row? Could you do 2-night tickets for Cleveland?
Okay. It depends on the venue. But also, you're not doing 2 nights. You're doing 4.
Yeah. Well, or you get rid of that and you say, okay, hey, Friday night SmackDowns in Pittsburgh, Saturday and Sunday SummerSlams in Cleveland, Monday nights in Chicago. Maybe you take some bird off there. But I mean, if you sold 2-day tickets and you made them affordable, I'm at the point where I don't know why you wouldn't make SummerSlam 2 nights. And I mean, that to me, after this year, I think it's a no-brainer. It makes your TV deal more valuable because you now have an extra PLE essentially. You have the roster to do it, no question. The other thing, then let's just get crazy here for a second. Could you envision a 2-night Royal Rumble? Men's Rumble 1 night, Women's Rumble 1 night, couple title matches. Wow. So Angle just jumps off top rope. Holy shit.
And smoked him with Sweet Chin Music.
Yeah. 2, 3. Wow. I did not remember that. I don't think I've ever seen that clip. That was dude, these guys together. I mean, it's actually disappointing that this, I mean, I know we got a WrestleMania match between these two. I feel like these two could have had a all-time title feud if the stars lined up right. I mean,
that was a crazy finish. Angle's dead. Don't bet against HBK. That's right. That was the sign says it all. Yep.
I can't wait to watch the replay of that. But again, just play with this for a second. 2-night Rumble. I mean, this year it was, remember, there were only 4 matches this year. There was a U.S. title match, a Reigns match, and then the 2 Rumbles. So why couldn't you do women's Rumble Saturday night, men's Rumble Sunday night? You do a world title each night. Maybe you do a women's each night. You could
add a match. Yeah,
easily do that.
Yeah,
so,
you can
anyways,
easily add
all right,
2 matches. Yep.
Let's get to the aftermath.
Ho! It's time for the aftermath.
All right, so I want to see the replay of that, but what a fantastic match. What did you think?
Way better than expected. Yeah, plain and simple. Like I don't think
I think so too.
Like just really
I mean, I knew it would be good, but
just really great stuff. And so getting into this one, so Michaels on this one, he actually they went on to be a backlash match. It was May, and so 2005. Going back a little bit, kind of to tell this story here. My notes got all messed up here. You had Shawn Michaels actually and Hogan defeating Muhammad Hassan and Daivari. And then you get Hogan and Michaels then having another tag match against, after this one, Kurt Angle and Carlito in early July. Hogan and Michaels ended up winning that one. But then you had the turn with Michaels super kicking Hogan and turning heel. That would have been the first time he was a heel since 2002. And so mid 2005, he had been a face up until that point. So you then had Michaels challenging Hogan to a match at SummerSlam, which Hogan accepted, and Hogan beating Michaels in that match to keep his SummerSlam record perfect. And so dealing with that Angle on the flip side, he actually kind of weird. He took kind of funny Eugene taking place in the Kurt Angle Invitational. Angle actually unable to make Eugene submit within the 3-minute time limit. And so Eugene winning Kurt Angle's Olympic gold medal per the stipulation on that match. So the 2 of them had a feud. And so that same SummerSlam, Angle beat Eugene to win back his medal. Sure. And that was I'm looking real quick here. That was a 4-minute match. So there you go. So really interesting.
That was fun, man.
Yeah, it was just fun. And so PWI this year, 2005, you had Angle number 6, Michaels 34. It always feels weird to see Michaels that high. You never think of him that way. And so, yeah, you got Michaels, no real write-ups on this one. They were difficult to find, not really sure why, but we did kind of get the star ratings no matter what. And so the whole second half of this card was actually really high. And so this match, though, started that with a 4.5 star. The John Cena Jericho Christian match was 3 3/4. And this match was tied the main event, which was Batista Triple H in the Hell in a Cell, also getting 4.5. So this match getting 4.5 stars, and just 2 great wrestlers out there. What are you thinking?
Dude, I got that at a 9.
Yeah.
That's a just barn burner of a wrestling match.
Yeah.
Loved every second of it. It had plunder, it had spots, it had psychology, it moved fast. That was a clinic. And again, why is it not a 10? Well, it was at Vengeance. It wasn't for a title. It was in the middle of the card. That's like, again, those 2. I think you could have built a world title around that program. That anyone that tells you that their WrestleMania match was the greatest WrestleMania match of all time, you can't argue that, because again, it's subjective. To me, it's one of my top 5. I just think that match is off the charts. This one was great. These guys, and then you could have put them in a ladder match. You could have put them in a Hell in a Cell. The shit you could have done with these guys. But just a phenomenal program. What about you?
Hard. Yeah, they worked hard. I'm right with you. I don't see any reason to not give this a high ranking. Like, give it a 9, because it was that good. Like, they worked, and it was while the story ahead, like, okay, the story you say wasn't great. There was, weird things happening, but at the same time, like they worked hard out there. Like they went out there and told a story in the ring, which a lot of like I've said that before. Like that is what I am a fan of. That's what I want to see. I want to see them telling the story in the ring, and that's exactly what they did. So yeah, I think just overall, really, really good. Yep.
We're on the same page there.
Yeah. So of
What do
course,
we have
everyone.
next week? What do we have next week? I don't even know.
I don't even know either. Let me take a look here and see what we got going on. Pulling this up real quick. Where's my calendar here? All right, we got some crazy ones here actually. Some little throwback here. So we're going to Beach Blast 1992. We got Cactus Jack and Sting in a Falls Count Anywhere match. I'm also because of course Drew McIntyre. I know I've talked about this one over the last few years, but Drew McIntyre Kingston in an intercontinental championship match from Fatal 4-Way. Don't remember that show at all. But doing that one, that's right before Clash at the Castle, actually. And so that's why we're doing that one. I wanted to do the title versus mask. This is a Monday Night Raw match between Triple H and Kane. And then we're going to close out. We got a King of the Ring final match from 1994. Do you remember who was the 1994 opponents in that final? That would be the one and only Owen Hart. Oh, sorry. Yep.
Oh, 94 King of the Ring was Owen Razor?
Yes, it was. And so, yep, we're going to cover Owen Razor from that King of the Ring final. So we got good stuff. Yeah, absolutely.
Good. Looking forward to it.
Good. So of course, don't forget
Manscaped real quick.
I gotta let them know before we head home here. Manscaped.com, using that promo code payoff, getting you 20% off free shipping, everything in the store. Don't forget about that. So make sure you guys are checking that out, seeing what they've got going on. Everything's great. We will, Tom and myself will always kind of sell it and speak highly of it. And so because it is a good product, it does work. And so just make sure to check that out. So again, manscaped.com, the promo code is payoff, getting you 20% off and free shipping, everything in that store. So with that, that wraps up. What do we got next here? We got the Saudi show is behind us. We got Battleground NXT coming up, and then that Clash at the Castle show. So we got an exciting month ahead of us.
Good, man. I'm pumped.
Yep.
Well, this was fun. It's always fun. We'll see everyone next week on an all-new episode of